Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and we are going to carry on with these trays. And I'm going to apologize quickly because I'm going to plug in my camcorder. Done. We are going to carry on with these trays I made. Now you'll notice that there's 3 on my table now. I did make a third one, as I said I was going to in my last video, again using the same colors that had been used previously. So the purple, the teal, and the black. I have sanded down. I do need to wipe these guys off, but I have sanded down the bottom of all of them now. This one is actually the coolest, I think, of the 3 of them as far as the bottom goes. This one's not bad, but this one definitely has more funness to it than the other 2 do. And that's what we are going to attempt to do with paint now. So we're going to do some paint pouring. It's something I've not done in a very long time, and it's kind of unfortunate because I used to love doing it, and I came up with some really cool ways of doing things, and I've got some really cool designs on some of my pieces. I really would like to pull some of them out so you can have a look at them, because it can be a fun thing to do, but paint pouring, like resin, like ceramic resin, some days has a mind of its own, and then other days, when you least expect it, it gives you something absolutely incredible. That's why we're going to do these 3, because I want to play with my paint pouring skills that as I said, it's been a long time since I've done a paint pour. I've got all the products for it, and then I just got into resin, and then it all just sort of drifted away from me. But let's bring it back. We are going to use all 3 of the tools from that kit I got. Again, let me show you this. It's the Drizzle Strainer Set. It is folk art. So just so you can see that. Now let me, get your hand out of the way, Natalie. As I mentioned, this stuff is on sale right now, so I'm happy to think that either it's people just are out of the paint pour and right into the resin, or they're coming in with another brand name. I don't know. I know with Michael's Recollections has come out with a whole whack of card making products. There's also, I've noticed too, that with their baking section, that the molds they have over there, they've transitioned from Celebrate It. And I'm trying to think of what the new brand name is. I want to say Market. It's not the Make Market that's in some of the other parts of the store. It's a different brand name, but similar to that. Anyway, they brought in new molds, and then they've been selling off the Celebrate It at ridiculously but very cool low prices. So if you have a Michael's and you're interested, go in and check them out. Don't have to buy anything. Just mentioning it to you if you're interested. So we are going to use the 3 different strainers to, fingers crossed, get 3 totally different designs. The colors I'm going to use, I had mentioned that if I did this, I wanted to use colors similar. Well, they're going to be similar, but not really. And I say not really because they're going to be darker. I wasn't going to use white, but I have a titanium white by Artist Loft, and it very small lettering down here. It says acrylic pour. I don't need to add anything to this. I was going to use some of my Craft Smart paint, which would have meant mixing it up in order to get it to the consistency that I needed it. I decided because I had this Artist Loft, I was going to use it. I have let's see if they tell you this. So I want to make sure. So this is blue, violet, and green. Okay, so the green will get toned down a little bit, and the purple and the blue, or the violet and the blue, are close enough. And so it'll give it a bit of a contrast, but not too much of a contrast. Because I need to wipe these down, I'm going to let you go for a few minutes so I can get that done. I'm also probably going to bring something in here with some water in it so I can take these when we're done out, and then we'll maneuver things around if we need to. Now, I don't want a really thick coat. As I say, like when you're doing acrylic pours, the intent is not to have it really thick. The intent is to create the design, and pour. Well, let's see, how can I do this? If you are really good at sort of determining how much you need, you make the right amount, and then you don't have any waste. I wasn't always good at that. I did, however, tend to save my paint and then use it on other pieces, and that's where it kind of got interesting, because with some of those other pieces, I got some really cool effects. And maybe before the video is done, excuse me, if I don't forget, I have a vase upstairs which I absolutely love, because it was coated with the, I'll call the drippings from a previous pour, and it turned out really cool. I was really pleased with it, and that's where, you know, that's cool. Now we have edging around this, so I can't get rid of the excess, so I want to be very careful with how much I put on here. We'll get the feel of it probably by the time we get to the third one. Anyway, I'm going to wipe these all down. We'll come back once I've got myself all organized. I decided, because sometimes I forget to show you things that I want to show you, I would show you this vase that I mentioned. So this is the vase that was done using some leftover paint that I had from another paint pour. I just thought, you know what, I've got it, let's pour it onto this vase and let's see what happened. And it came out, like, I love the coloring. I think it's really cool. And then what I did, once I got into the resin and a bit better at working with just clear resin, I put a clear coat of resin on that to seal it right up. And it transforms the paint pour, as far as I'm concerned, into something really, really pretty. I have another vase that is red, black, and gray. I might try and remember and show that one to you once this stuff has had a chance to set up. But yeah, and I have a video that I want to do that's based on doing a vase, and I want to show you a neat little trick I've got for doing the resin part of it. Anyway, so there's our vase. So you've seen it now, and I can rest easy knowing that you actually got to see something that I said you would get to see. Okay, I've wiped them down. I've got my water. We're going to put 2 of these off to the side for right now. I'm just going to cover the one up before I put the other one on top of it. Actually, if I do it the other way, it won't matter. All right, so we got our fingers crossed, right? Everyone's got their, see how we can do this. So let's start with the figure 8 first. I've shaken my colors, but I will shake them again. I've got a wet wipe available to me. I'm a little nervous. I won't lie. I'm a little nervous about this just because it has been so long, and doing this on camera, because I have had pieces that have just gone totally not right. So that doesn't really matter. So yeah, you know what? We're just going to pour and see what happens. I could spend hours, you know, sitting here chatting with you about whatever. But yeah, so obviously I haven't used these, so give me a moment. I have to, I guess that's something I should have checked, so you didn't have to be bothered with that. And we've got some dried up paint in this. So I will confess that I haven't used this stuff, so that's why I'm getting globs of paint out of it. I guess I should get back into my paint pouring, right? All right, so just give me a second. I want to get all of these opened up, because there's no point in going any further until we get that done properly. And then we'll shake them up again. I have to wipe off my table too, so that any of the stuff that's falling, I've used you before, doesn't get into it. That's a pain when you get little pieces in. It's no different than resin, really. When you get little pieces into things, it gets annoying, and for me especially, because I want to, I'm very particular. You know that about me by now, though, right? Just agree with me, because I know I'm right on that one. Okay, we'll get rid of those. We'll get rid of the green on my thumb because I don't really want to accidentally touch the outsides of these, because then what? Now, if I wanted to do the bottom of these, I could, and then we could do some true jiggling of the piece. And when I say that, I tilt my pieces to get the paint to go off the side and whatnot of my canvases. I feel like I've got paint everywhere now. I play music now, but, well, I don't like having to listen to music, and I know some of you don't either. So I'm going to shake these up again. All right, let's see what we can do, people. And I think you're right in almost center. I'm going to try and make this as neat as possible, which, you know, may or may not work. The other thing I use is a long neck lighter to what? To get rid of any bubbles that I get. Put some white on here. It's not moving anywhere right now, which is kind of unfortunate. And what we'll do is we'll see if we can't move this. I'm not sure how well this is going to work for me, but I just want to see if I can get this moving somehow so we can get some sort of something going on. I know on the canvases that they usually put a coating down so that the paint will flow, and we may have to do that. And as I say, I mean, this paint, it has been around for a while, so that's probably not helping my cause any either. But we will work on this and see what we can do. Now, the other thing, I don't have one on here, is you can use, and you have to be careful when you're doing this, you can use a hairdryer to blow your paint around. I'll leave the lid off that. I'm getting stuff everywhere now. Yeah, I'm curious. I think my paint may be just a little too thick now. I will admit I've had this for a while. And I have to be careful because I don't want to get... What I might do is put some of the Liquitex that I've got from, I want to say Artist Loft, but, or it's Liquitex, never mind. It's not Artist Loft, it's actually Liquitex, into this paint to get it to flow better. And I think with the other ones, what we'll do is we'll put a layer of maybe the white down so that we can get this flowing so much better, because it should be flowing much better than what it is. So I'm gonna again, I don't want to make this too thick, but at the same time I feel like I'm gonna have to up the ante on this to get it to go the way I want it to. Let's do this. It's hard to see when I do it this way because I don't want it going over the sides. And I apologize for you not. I gotta get paint everywhere. And the other thing it might be doing, which I guess is a possibility too, is the fact that we're dealing with a ceramic and it's maybe should be coated before I'm attempting this. I'm not sure. So we've got a couple of things we can do with the other ones. There's too much of that. Let's get some blue going. I don't know if you guys are sitting on pins and needles, but I know I am over here. Yeah, what we might have to do is just take this off and weave it around, because I don't think I've got enough to really get this going the way I want to. So I'm just pouring some, I know I'm pouring this on the outside of this, but that's okay. Again, it's one of those things, we're just going to attempt this and see where we land at the end of the day, right? Sometimes that's what you gots to do. And again, I don't want to put too much on here. But I do want to make sure that I get paint everywhere. It's kind of, I know you can't see this, and that's unfortunate, but it's kind of fun to see the paint go back and forth between the strainer, because then it does give some more dimension to it. And you might be able to see that. We might play a little bit more with this. And then maybe again, not. Okay, I am attempting to be really careful. So I am just manipulating this all over the place. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this out of here now. Put that into our water. Now we're just going to move this around. It's not as pretty as I kind of hoped it would be. And I know one of the tricks with you doing a paint pour is to, if you want to keep the design, is to be very flexible. And when I say that, like the going back and forth with your piece. And I'm definitely going to put some Liquitex in my paint, because I feel like it's too thick. So really what I'm wanting to attempt to do now is just to get some more of this squiggly line design happening without, losing it. And I will be sealing this with epoxy resin, because one of the things I'm not, 100% sure on is whether or not, whether this would pull off of the ceramic piece. Now sometimes what's kind of cool with this is when you go over it with the lighter, and do I have that on full? I do too, is it will sort of pull some of the coloring up, which it sort of only did in one spot. Now I also have a torch that I use for this kind of stuff, because it does it a lot faster and a lot better. And it's okay as long as you keep your torch, and I've just got a small one, and as long as you keep it away from, I don't have it in here, do I? I'm gonna stop my camera again. I'm gonna go get it, because as long as you keep it away from the paint and you're very careful with it, again, you know, follow manufacturer's directions when you're using a torch. But you can use it on the paint as long as you don't get too close to it. There. Okay. So this is what we've got for the first one. Not thrilled with it, but not liking it at the same time. It's not too bad. And I'm hoping some of those air bubbles might come up by themselves, but we can always go over it a little bit more. That's another nice thing is, I can't remember how much time, like I usually gave pieces 24 hours to dry up. Again, it depends too on how long or how much you've actually used of your paint. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to let you go. I am going to add some Liquitex in this. Now I've got a couple of things here that, no, that's a slow dry. I don't want that. Anyways, I'm going to mix some stuff up in these so that we can get them flowing a little bit better. I'll go get my torch because I'm pretty sure I know where it is. And then we can come back and we will do the next one. And fingers crossed it'll go a little bit quicker than this first one has done. And who knows, maybe in another video I'll do a canvas, because yeah, then you can really tilt. Here we're limited because we've got the confines of this tray. If we were doing the back, we could let it flow a little bit more, but we might do a canvas. We might do a canvas at some point, but okay, there's the first one. Alrighty, we're going to move on to our second one. We're going to do things a little bit differently. First off, this is the pouring medium that I put into all of the paints, white included. This is the torch I was mentioning to you that I use on my pours. Again, follow the manufacturer's instructions when using this and be safe with those. I don't think I have a lot of butane left in it, so I know I have a bottle of it flying around my world somewhere, and I'll have to fill it up. But again, I haven't been doing a lot of paint pours, but this may get me a little more interested in doing some more, because I think, you know, depending on, it gives room and opportunity for doing a paint pour within the ceramic resin at the end, I guess. So let's pour. What I'm going to do with this one is we're going to do this a little bit differently. So I want to get things pouring more smoothly. Is I am going to put some of this white down and we're going to get it moving around. And I've got something on my piece that I want gone. And you just love how that stuff sticks. I've got a paintbrush out here if we need it. Yeah, so we're gonna do this one a little differently and see if it doesn't help our cause. Okay, again, trying not to get too much of the paint onto it, and then we'll just sort of sweep this around, covering it up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And it may help the flow of the other paints, right? That's the plan. That's what I'm going for here. Again, the paint should really be coming out and flowing better than what I've got it flowing out. All right, we'll do this one next and see if we can, and we'll pour a little bit more in, and yeah, we'll just have to see. I feel like I need more white in here. It's one of those, how much do I really want to put on here? And I didn't put a lot of the Liquitex in these. Again, it's one of those, these have been sitting, needed to be used sooner than what I have used them, that's for sure. So So we'll do a little bit more of this, and hopefully this time we get a little more movement. Yeah, this is kind of unfortunate that this isn't working better. Got paint where I don't want it. Oops, that's okay. And I'm wondering about what I might do is take some of the purple and just put a little bit down along the side. Now, what we might do for the last one is do a bit of a dirty pour. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically where you take your paint and you mix it into one container and then you just pour it out. I'm hoping you can see some of what's going on here. It's a challenge. It'd be so much better for you to be able to see it if my camera were right above, and it's not. And I need a wet wipe. This is one of the messy ones, eh? All right, let's do this. Yeah, I definitely... Like if I normally did this and if I had the paint the right consistency, I'd have this stuff all over my table by now. So we're definitely not getting, it's not the consistency I would like it to be. So I'm going to go a little crazy here. Because I have more of the white than any other color. And sometimes too, when you're doing this, if you don't get things done in a really good time, then your paint starts to set up, which isn't helpful. Let's do this like that, and I'll do it one way. Oops, I want to hold it down. I'm really, if my hands are in the way a whole bunch on this, sorry about that. But you get the gist of what I'm doing here. So the idea is to manipulate it so you can get something cool out of the hole. So my big thing is I want to make sure I've got paint all the way around this. One of the things I've done with the canvases is I've painted the canvas. So most canvases, as you know, they're white. And if you're doing a multicolored piece, and you're doing a multicolored, but white isn't one of your colors, I always paint my canvas one of the colors that I'm doing it. So if I were doing like yellow and black, I'd paint it yellow, and then that way if I miss any spots, then your color, your canvas isn't showing through, unless that's what you want. All right, so let's see if I get the right lid on the right color. Just give me a moment to clean up my mess that's becoming bigger and bigger. We don't have a lot of blue in that one, which is fair, that's fine. You'll find too, if you're doing a pour, that sometimes you'll lose mix. See if I have enough butane in this to, and then like I say, so this is going to pull up some more of a design because it's hotter, but again, be careful, you don't want to burn your paint. All right, so that's the second one we've got going on. It's adding some interesting design to it. I mean, it's not the greatest in the world, I will admit that, but it's kind of cool. It's different, and I like that. And I like that we're getting some a little bit of coloring in that. And I know if you have silicone, you can put silicone in the paint as well, and that will allow you to get some additional cells popping up in your piece. So now I'm trying to think, we've got one left to do. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel for what I want to do. And part of what I'm doing right now is, well, is I'm trying to get this leveled out. Because I know when I took off the strainer, the one that I put in the water over there, some of the paint it gets built up higher because it's not flowing out. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we don't have any road bumps, if you will. And then how's this one doing? I think we're okay on this one. Yeah. All right, so let's put these two off to the side. So I think now that I've done two of them, I sort of like how the design on this one's looking right now. And I'm trying to think, so we've got this strainer left. And a part of me is going, do you really want to use the strainer, or do we just do a bit of a dirty pour and not use this? Now with the colors I have, a dirty pour could be interesting. I'm almost trying to figure out what you're trying to tell me through the video camera right now. I do like how that one turned out. It actually turned out pretty decently. As you get dead silence from me for a little bit. Yeah, I'm really kind of stuck as to what I want to do with this one. I am. Well, maybe what we'll do is we're going to do something. We're going to do a bit of a dirty pour, and we're going to see what we end up with. So I'll start with the base of white. So as I say, a dirty pour is just a matter of taking your colors and blending them. And when I say blending them, so what I tend to do, you have two ways of doing this. I'll show you both ways that I've done it. And if anyone's got another way, please comment below. So one thing you can do is you can just take your paint and pour it down the side of the cup so it lands on top of, but doesn't necessarily sink in. Okay, so I want to show do this the best. Is that the way it's going to do it best for you? So you see how your purple's sitting on top? Now we'll take some blue, but instead of pouring it down the side, I'm going to have my blue up high. And what that'll do is it'll sink it to the bottom. Okay, which is kind of cool. And I think with the green we'll do a little bit of both. So we'll start up high. I probably have too much paint here, but anyway. All right, and then we'll put a little bit on the side so it floats. All right, I'm feeling pretty sure that I've got too much paint there. We're going to have to do a canvas, aren't we? I feel like we're going to have to do a canvas. I know it has got nothing to do with ceramic resin or resin, but hey, sometimes you just got to go outside. Think outside the box. And we don't have to do a massive canvas, but we can do, I've got a whole variety of canvases we can do, and I show you my tips and tricks for doing them. Now, I'm not, as much as I normally would have some paint on, I'm not going to do that because I know I've got way too much paint here. So I just want to, I'm going to go here for a second. I'm hoping you can see all the cells that have sort of popped up, and those are all those little dots in there. So we have some green and some purple in there. I hope you can see those, because that's always cool when it does that. The cells are neat. All right. Fingers crossed, people, that we get something of what we want here. Maybe we'll do it like this. Are you back in? You're not really, are you? I know. I'm keeping you guessing on this, aren't I? So let's start in the middle, and you can see. And I'm going to go up high on this and get that floating out. And like I said, I'm probably going to have more on here than I even want to have on. And see what we can do. And yeah, the idea is just to keep moving it about. That helps with some of the designs, helps keep it, helps make it more interesting. I'll turn it around. A little here, a little there. Trying to get into the center. Oops. So, for all of you out there in camera world, what's the weather like? I continue to have very interesting weather here in Ontario. Mother Nature isn't really done with us yet. I think the brutal part of the winter is done. I could say that and then be totally wrong on that, right? But I believe, I want to believe that we are through most of this craziness called winter. And again, I know some of you guys down in the States have had some really, really wild weather down there. All right. So let's get this off and into the water. I'm going to move my paintbrush that had the white in it a little bit off to the side. It was kind of cool what I was doing in the water. All right, I'm trying to brilliant. All right, so let's move this one around a little bit. Again, really what I'm wanting to do here is just to level it out. Now, as far as how long these have been sitting, good 2 days, a good 2 days. Yeah, this has definitely got a lot more in it than I had expected it to have. There we go. I don't mind those bubbles coming up either. I think it adds to it. Yeah, I think it adds to it. Now, I don't have a lot of, but you know what I think I'm going to do? Just for fun. And I'm not going to do it on camera. I'm going to do it off camera. But I'm going to go grab one of my smaller canvases that I've got. And then I'm going to see about doing a canvas. And then I think we're going to do one together. Again, those people who don't want to watch it, that is totally cool. I get it. Not everyone's into paint pouring. But yeah, so. And I think I know which one my favorite is, which is usually the way that it happens. So anyways, here we go. Here are our 3. And they're not all in, so I gotta move this down, don't I? Down, down, and down. Alrighty. So we have officially done a paint pour within ceramic resin. I might go over these two a little, like very lightly with my blowtorch. I'll call it a blowtorch mini. And just to make sure I've got all bubbles out on both of them very carefully. I'm going to let this sit for at least 24 hours before we come back to them. I will probably let them sit longer before I put a top coat of resin on them. And I'm thinking, my brain power is saying to do right up to the edge here. And maybe right level up here with it. Only because I have some paint around the sides. And if people were going to use these, I'd be a little concerned about that. Because again, I don't know how it's going to adhere to the ceramic resin. It may adhere fine. I don't know. But anyway. So that's where we're at. We'll come back. I will go do a canvas because I feel like doing one now that I'm into the midst of this. And we will see how they look when they're done. And you can comment below on which one you like the best. So we'll call this 1, 2, and 3. And you can let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in about 24 hours or so. I wanted to bring you back. It hasn't been 24 hours yet. And I wanted to show you. So I did a paint pour on a canvas. So that's what this looks like. And as much as it's dark, I'm actually liking how it dried dark as it did. And what I want to do with this, and I don't know if I've mentioned it before in any of my videos, but if you can get a thin canvas, you can actually cut shapes out of this, and then you could make them into earrings if you wanted. I have some wood blanks that, if I'm very careful, I could cut the shape of the wood blank out and then glue these onto it. And decorate them up and then have earrings. And something I wouldn't mind doing with this one is actually putting a stencil of some sort on it, or doing some drawing on it. And when I say drawing, like squiggly lines and whatnot, because I don't draw, to make it more interesting. So I might do that with this piece. And this is a very inexpensive canvas. I got this and I think I got it with the Artist's Loft paint that we've been using for these pieces. So I think I might do that with this, and then maybe cut out and do something else with this. If you wanted to add sparkle and whatnot to it, I've done that after I've had the canvas onto the wood blank, or whatever it is you're using as a blank. You wouldn't necessarily have to do that, but I think you want to have some sort of firmness to the earrings so it's not flopping all over the place or bend too easily, but that's totally up to you. You can also cover them with resin if you were going to just take two pieces and glue them together so you could have a front and a back. But that's what I'm probably going to do with this one. But again, I want to do something to make it more interesting on the front. The other thing I wanted to show you, so originally when I did my paint pour, I was using these solo cups and putting them under all four corners. And then I remembered I had been at Michael's. Surprise, surprise. But again, I'm not going to Michael's as much as I used to. I did happen to notice these by Craftsmart were on sale. And these go under the corner of the canvas for you to put your canvas on. I like them. I sort of like them. I sort of don't like them. I like them for the fact that you can have just part of this sitting on the canvas. When I've done these, once if the paint gets underneath, it sticks to this and you rip it off and you rip the paint off underneath. And that doesn't really matter depending on what you're doing with it. It just doesn't look as professional. I found once I put these under, there's less room for things to stick. These wouldn't stick as easily as the solo cups would. With these, my only concern is there's not much that the canvas is actually sitting on. I paid $1 for these. I picked them up. I thought, why not? I also use push pins in the bottom of my canvases, which is a trick I learned from one of the people I used to watch when I was doing paint pouring on YouTube. So you would put push pins in the four corners, and then it's much easier to tilt these things when you've got something to grab onto at the bottom of them. And I hadn't thought about that until I was already doing it, and by then it was too late. But that's something you can do as well, as use push pins, and then they are actually your feet, if you will, when you put your piece down. Again, I think we might do one together. We'll have to see. Anyway, I thought I'd mention these to you because these were on sale you get 5 for $1. And I have to admit, I think 5's an interesting number because I wouldn't, if they gave you 5 so that you have one at each of the four corners and one in the center, there's no way I would put something that's got like just the weight on that, because you're going to end up with an indent, I think, on your canvas. Now, as far as our project, the quote real project we were working on, these have not dried. These are still somewhat wet. The paint has not fully dried, and I know that because of the gloss, and I don't think the paint will move at all now, but I don't know if you can see, it's still glossy. This is not fully set up yet. There are some spots that have dried up, which means that the paint wasn't as thick. So down, especially around the edges, we have it dry. It feels damp underneath. Cool. It is cool in this room. Again, my room is cool. But yeah, these haven't completely dried up. I think I could, move them around and nothing's going to move. But these definitely have not dried up. As I'm over here trying to show you. Yeah? No, not really, right? Get it in camera. It's funny. I keep looking at my screen over here to make sure I am in center. And then this one. And I had hoped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these upstairs. I'm going to let them sit in my living room and see if that doesn't help with the drying process, because it's obviously warmer upstairs, and then I can carry on and do something else here. And we'll see how they dry up. I think we may not get to the point. I was maybe thinking of putting a coat of UV resin on these, but I cannot. And I can't stress this enough. Do not do this until this is fully dry, because I think we would have issues. So I am going to let this, these fully cure before I do anything else to them. So we'll have to see where I am by the end of the day as to whether or not that gets done in this video, or whether I show these in another video once I have them done. So yeah, we'll just have to stay tuned. But I'll take these upstairs. I'll let them sit up there where it's warmer, there's a bit more airflow, and see if these won't dry up throughout the day. I did cover them up because I didn't want all kinds of dust on them. That may, in and of itself, impacted the fact that these have not dried up. I'm probably still going to cover them up upstairs, but I think what I might do is use my picnic table cover on them. So again, there's still that flow of air, because if I put plastic over top, like my plastic lid containers, then obviously we're not getting the flow of air that I'd like to. So I'll come back in about, I'd say 4 or 5 hours. We'll have a look at these again and see if we are any further ahead. All right, I brought you back. Okay, these are not going to be dry enough for me to do anything else to them before this video needs to go up. So I just wanted to bring one down. I have had these sitting upstairs in my dining room area since this morning. They have dried up a little bit more. They're getting there, but they're definitely not going to be dry enough for me to do anything with them, meaning putting resin on top of them. And as I said, I really want to make sure that they get like as dry as they can be before I even attempt to put resin on these. I will show either all of them or at least one of them in a future video, so you can see with the resin on. And then I'm going to, my initial thought was to put the resin up to the top of this, and even around the edge here, just to have it completely level, which is totally cool. Or whether I just put a thin layer on top of it and then figure out how I sort of want to do the rest of this. Anyway, I wanted to bring it back. I wanted to let you know that I've gone as far as I can with this video because of the fact that I think the paint is just a little too thick for this. I think the fact that it wasn't flowing the way I had hoped it was going to flow, but you know, that helps me in the future, and it helps you if you decide to do this. I would make, you know, really sure that your paint is going to flow really well, so it isn't as thick as I believe I probably have it in these. But they definitely are drying up, but they're taking their time to do it. The other thing I hadn't done when I took these upstairs, which I'm sort of sorry I hadn't done, is I didn't put them on anything. I didn't put them on a cookie rack or anything like that. I'm going to do that now because the underside is cool. Now, so nothing's going to fall out, but it is cool, and I'm wondering if that's part of it too, is that it can't dry sort of through the mix2mold both sides, right? Top and bottom. Which it may not be doing, and it may just be that these are cold on the bottom. I'm not sure, but they feel, it's not damp, it's cool. It's a cool feeling, and I'm wondering if that's part of it, is that it needs to get circulation all the way around them. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I will see, you know, sort of how we progress from there. But I wanted to bring you back. I wanted to, you know, get through this video. If you have any tips or tricks for myself and the others, I would love you to put them in the comments below. If you've done this, again, you know, let us know, how did you make out with doing, you know, this on a ceramic resin. I go back to the drawing board myself and I work on this a little bit more and see what I can do. And at some point, you will get to see sort of where I end up taking these, but unfortunately, it's not going to be in this video. Thank you for watching, taking the time to like, subscribe to my channel. It does, as everyone always says, it does help if you can subscribe, if you like, if you comment. Yeah, but you do you. If this resonates with you, great, and if it doesn't, I totally get that as well. Have a great creative day, whatever you're getting up to, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.